here's how I finally beat social anxiety, which is brutal. It can really play on your mind and make you feel like you're going insane. You know, you can get paranoid about going to a social event. You can be paranoid whilst you're at the social event. Then there's a paranoia about how you're going to escape the social event. And then there's the paranoia about what other people are thinking of you after you've left the social event. It can never end, and it can feel relentless. And it's one of those things which I suffered badly from due to some events I'm going to talk about in my childhood. But as an adult, it was debilitating. I didn't go to a lot of things because of the level of anxiety that would begin to manifest. And it would literally feel like a block and stop me going. And I think I'm quite naturally a social person, which is where a lot of the conflict came in. I would, looking back at it, use alcohol, have a few drinks, warm myself up, to be able to go. And it felt like a good idea. But eventually, the GABA wears off, the dopamine wears off, and you begin to feel a bit more anxious as the night goes on. And as I discovered, alcohol is one of the worst things you can use as a crutch for social anxiety. And whilst I was out, you have that level, well, I had that level of self-consciousness and over-vigilance in regards to how people would be perceiving me, who I could people please, how I could stay safe. I literally just was never myself. And I remember two people having a real go at me one night. They just come out of nowhere, just saying, we just wish that you were yourself. And that kind of stayed in my mind. Kind of grateful for that now, because it made me look at myself thinking, am I not? Because you're kind of tricked with social anxiety into thinking, well, this is just me, this is just the way I am, which is totally not true. And if you're struggling with social anxiety, this video is for you. And I hope that you find it useful. And I hope that it gives you hope, that it is something, I promise you, that you can begin to move on from. I've helped people all around the world, usually business owners and entrepreneurs, as that's the people that I tend to attract and work with, set themselves free. Because going into a business meeting or doing a presentation or even just socializing or going, on a date can all be impacted by social anxiety. How you're consciously and unconsciously perceiving what you've got going on around you and how it could be dangerous to you on an emotional level. And you can feel powerless with it. I used to get really angry with myself for the way that I was thinking, the way that I was reacting. Because logically, why should I have a problem? These were friends. But deep down, there was this story forming of, well, you're just weird, you're just awkward, there's something wrong with you, you're different. And that it felt believable, really did feel believable. And it's really, really lovely to be free of that. I promise you that no matter what you're going through, you can be free of it too. And I just want to go back to where my social anxiety came from. I think as a child, I was naturally outgoing, naturally confident, and naturally sociable. But there was an event which happened, which I think turned things around a lot for me. And I don't know what happened, and I don't know why it happened. But the other children in my neighborhood who I was hanging around with, I guess I was about, I want to say between 8 and 11. At that time, I felt popular and it was all very relaxed and fun, and we'd be out playing all day, coming home at tea time, all very good. And then I don't know what happened, but suddenly the other children, not all of them, only a small number of them, began to become quite cruel to me. And I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on. And it came to a head one day where I was out with them. We were out walking across the field, and I didn't notice what was happening. I was completely oblivious to what was happening, was that I was slowly being surrounded. Not only that, they were picking up rocks. And suddenly everyone just stopped. And there I was, just in the middle. And the leader turned around and looked at me, he's older, and said, "Run." And I just froze, thinking, what? Why? And he was like, "Run." And then I just looked around to see what was going on, and I could just see everyone looking at me with these rocks in their hands. And so I ran. And I ran with tears down my face, and I felt the rocks, some of them hit me, a lot of them flew past. And that changed everything for me that day. My father was furious. He did his best to try and resolve things, and I was kind of marched around all their houses and kind of forced to go and play with them to show that everything was okay, but it just wasn't. And that led into secondary school. There was this animosity, on, off, on, off. I never knew where I stood. And I think that's where a lot of my insecurities began to come from, because what had I done for this to happen? And I never found out. And what was interesting was I blamed myself for such a long time. I blamed myself for being weird or awkward, or what was it about me that was different? And that began to turn around when I had spoken to a therapist, and they said to me, "How do you know that the problem was about you, was with you? How do you know it wasn't about them?" And I'd been so wrapped up in my anxiety and my thoughts that I'd never entertained that idea. And it made me stop and think, oh, it could be about them. Never really thought about it. And began with some exploration. That's why journaling is a great thing, meditation, talking to someone. I realized that it was about them and it wasn't about me. There was something in me that was different. I have lived ever since a very different life to the people I grew up with. And as you know, I'm here on social media talking to you about it. And I think the children that I was bullied by were having quite a terrible time at home. Something was going on, because I know where they are now. And for a lot of them, it doesn't look great. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But all I can go on from is, whatever happened, it impacted me and it changed the way that I saw the world. So I began to, from having social anxiety, look at anxiety in a whole new way, because it did lead towards a panic attack disorder. It led towards panic attacks. I had an anxiety disorder, which I talked about here. And it's given me a whole career. And one thing I began to learn through therapy, through self-exploration, through coaching, is that when I go into a social situation, and I really want you to pay attention to this, I cannot control what others think of me. I can only control and be responsible for my inner state. Yeah. And learning to regulate my nervous system through breath work. And I've talked about the ABC system on how to stop being anxious. So if you've not seen that, please do watch it. But learning to work with anxiety and just accept it instead of fighting it was an absolute game changer for me. As well as the perspective, and I love this, that I usually, when I work with clients, I usually use some colorful language to make it stick in the brain. And I won't say it here, but I like to remind myself that 99% of people are just simply not thinking of me at all. I'm just not that important. But with anxiety, we have what's known as the spotlight effect. And we really can feel that we are on show. We are at the center of the universe. The spotlight is on us. We are, the main actor in the play. And again, it's being aware that no one's that interested, really. And if they are, it's likely to be about them. And we can't control what's going on in our outside environment. Though, do you know what, we'll give it a good old go. And that's one thing anxiety gets you to do. It gets you to look within you at what you can control. What is the truth? What's the story you're falling for? And is it true? Are you lying to yourself to protect yourself? Do you need protecting? Because if it's not life-threatening, it's ego-threatening. And this is where mindfulness was very powerful for me, because I used to believe that my thoughts were reality. I was thinking it, so it must mean something, right? And just to be able to step back from my thoughts, after training with mindfulness, I could begin to get some distance, and I became aware of what I was thinking rather than just being the thinker. And that is a level of self-mastery that is a gift that keeps on giving. But here's the thing. Most people watching this won't do that for themselves, because that level of discipline, that level of mindset is something they feel is out of reach. It's for other people. They can't do it. And it's something that might relate to you. You might have tried mindfulness or meditation, and that was really difficult. My mind was wandering all over the place, therefore I'm rubbish at it, therefore I shouldn't do it. And that's a very powerful trick of the ego, to keep you distracted, to keep you in the story that there's something wrong with you, that you need to be fixed. But at the same time, you're still looking for problems about yourself to fix. And that's an awful trap to fall into. And if there's another message that I could give you, is stop trying to fix yourself. Stop seeing yourself as a project. Yeah, stop seeing yourself as something that if you resolve, then you can have that happier life, because it really isn't true. Build your happier life now to begin to enhance yourself, enhance your world, and watch those anxieties begin to die away. And that's another way that my social anxiety began to die down, was the more I began to work on changing my life from I just want to grow and have fun, I want to set myself free. The more I worked on mind, body, heart, and purpose, which I've talked about before, the more I invested in each of those areas, it was interesting how that holistic point of view, released the pressure that was on my nervous system. Because when it's highly pressurized, your brain has to provide you with those survival thoughts. Without that pressure there, where are those thoughts? In fact, if you bring yourself to the very present moment, and you're here with me and you're still with me, what's here right now when there's no problems to solve? There's this peace, there's this spaciousness, there's this stillness. That is where your power is. Connecting with the essence of who you are. That empty spaciousness, that dimension that's within you. And that's where you can begin to hear your own insights. One thing I would say is that we're absolutely terrified of having spaciousness. We're absolutely terrified of being quiet. We don't want silence, because we're terrified of hearing the truth from ourselves. So we distract ourselves continually. We become the consumer of life, constantly consuming content over and over and over. And that stops you becoming the creator. And it's how, when we create something for our values, create something for fulfillment, create something for a higher purpose, that we begin to fully live. And that has a huge impact on social anxiety, because it becomes less about you and more about what's everyone else doing? How are they? Becoming more interested in other people instead of paying attention to the voice inside your head. And look back at what I experienced, by the way. Looking back at what I went through, I am so grateful for being bullied. And just even recognizing that was incredibly healing, because I was traumatized for so long, constantly replaying over and over those sorts of conversations and events, imagining myself doing something different, so I would win, that I would be the victor somehow. And of course, that was never going to come to pass. And that was a waste of time and energy, being caught up in that drama inside my mind. And to be free of that by recognizing that this wasn't about me. This is all about them. They tried to put out my light. Maybe they saw it as threatening. It didn't work. I've only become stronger for it. And I have a whole career where I get to talk to thousands and thousands of people each day across various social media channels, where I can help people begin to do the same as what I've done. So what a gift. So they gave me a huge gift, even though at the time, totally devastating. So I hope that's helped you. If you're struggling with social anxiety, begin to work with mindfulness to begin to separate yourself from your thoughts. Calm down your nervous system by beginning to invest in mind, body, and heart and purpose. Begin to get help in regards to any trapped trauma you've got inside your mind and body, to get that perspective in regards to what was it that was going on for the other people that might have been involved in why you have social anxiety. Beginning to look at the stories that you're telling yourself with social anxiety and begin to release yourself from them. You don't have to be there. And the more you calm down your nervous system, the more you separate yourself, the more you can flourish and thrive as yourself. Don't begin to, wait until you're healed before you create this amazing life of yours. Create your amazing life now, and that will be incredibly healing for you. So I hope this has made sense. It's a bit of a ramble as normal, but I wanted to do this video because I know so many of you struggle with social anxiety, and I've been there. I know what it's like. And I promise you that when you begin to work with it in quite a different way, calming down your nervous system, becoming the observer, building this amazing life, what social anxiety? Why would it be there? Yeah, you'll have more important things for you to begin to focus on. If you need help, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, because these are the people that tend to gravitate towards me, contact me, say hello. If you're, anyone's welcome to come and have a word, or put what you're struggling with within the comments. Put your thoughts about what I've been talking about in the comments, and of course, please subscribe so you get to see the next video. But I'd really love to hear from you, and I want you to know that don't suffer with this on your own. It's very easy to, with anxiety, be that ashamed of it that you think that this is just you and everyone else is okay. I promise you, it's more common than you think, and it's something that 100% you can resolve and begin to move away from. Okay, so thank you for watching. I look forward to connecting with you in the next video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon.